You don't lose your temper because you're angry. You lose it because something softer was never allowed to exist. Think about the last time you snapped. Not a big blow-up, just a small one. Someone said something careless. Someone didn't text back. Someone left the dishes in the sink again. And something in you tightened, hardened, came out sharp. You called it frustration, irritation, annoyance. But underneath that, if you had slowed down long enough to feel it, there was something else, something quieter, something you moved past so quickly you didn't even notice it was there. Hurt, disappointment, loneliness, maybe even grief. But you didn't go there. You went to anger instead, because anger is fast, anger is familiar, anger gives you something to do. And sadness? Sadness just sits there, waiting, asking you to feel it. Most people think they have an anger problem. They don't. They have a sadness problem, one they've been running from so long they forgot it was ever there. This is what we're looking at today. Not how to manage your anger, not how to calm down, but why your nervous system chose anger in the first place, why it still chooses anger, and what it's been protecting you from all along. Because anger isn't the problem, it's the solution. One you came up with a long time ago when the real feeling underneath was too dangerous to touch. Let's be honest about something. Anger feels good. Not in a pleasant way, but in a powerful. When you're angry, you're not collapsed. You're not helpless. You're not waiting for someone to see you, hear you, care about you. You're standing, fists clenched, ready. Anger has energy, direction, momentum. It says, I matter. This isn't okay. You don't get to treat me like that. And in a world that often makes you feel invisible, unseen, unimportant, that energy feels like oxygen. It feels like finally taking up space. Now compare that to sadness. Sadness is slow, heavy, still. It doesn't push outward, it pulls inward. It asks you to stop, to feel, to let something break open in your chest. And for a lot of people, that feels like collapse, like giving up, like lying down in the middle of a battlefield and hoping no one steps on you. Anger keeps you standing. Sadness asks you to sit down. So which one do you think your body chooses when it senses threat? This isn't a conscious decision. You don't wake up and think, I'm going to be angry today instead of sad. It happens automatically, beneath thought, beneath awareness. Your nervous system learned a long time ago that anger was the safer option, and it's been making that choice for you ever since. Let's go back. Think about your childhood home, not the facts of it, but the emotional temperature. What happened when you cried? What happened when you were scared? What happened when you needed comfort? For some of you, sadness was met with silence. You cried and no one came. You learned, without words, that sadness doesn't get you anything. It doesn't bring connection. It doesn't bring relief. It just sits in your chest with nowhere to go. So you stopped. For others, sadness was met with dismissal. Stop crying, you're being dramatic, toughen up. You learned that sadness was weakness, that showing it meant losing respect, losing love, losing safety. So you hardened. And for some of you, sadness was met with danger, a parent who raged when you were vulnerable, a home where your pain made things worse, where being soft meant becoming a target. So you armored. In all these cases, your nervous system made a calculation. It asked, what happens when I'm sad? And the answer was nothing good. So it found another option. Anger was allowed, or at least anger was survivable. It didn't ask anyone to show up for you. It pushed them away before they could fail you. That mask, it worked. For a while, it kept you alive, kept you from breaking down in environments that had no space for your pain. But you're not in that environment anymore, and the mask is still on.
Let me show you something. Think about a time recently when you got angry. Really sit with it for a second. What happened right before the anger hit? Maybe someone canceled plans. Maybe someone didn't acknowledge something you did. Maybe someone talked over you. Maybe someone forgot. Now ask yourself, what was underneath that anger? If you're honest, it probably wasn't rage. It was hurt. It was feeling unseen, unimportant, taken for granted. But you didn't say, that hurt me. You said, that pissed me off. Because pissed off is easier. Pissed off doesn't need anyone. Pissed off keeps you in control. That hurt me is a door that opens into need, into longing, into the part of you that still wants to be cared for, still wants to matter, still wants someone to show up without being asked. And that part feels unbearable. You knocked on that door so many times as a child. You cried out, you reached, you waited, and eventually you stopped. Not because the need went away, but because it hurt too much to keep wanting something that never came. So now, as an adult, you skip the wanting, you skip the softness, you go straight to anger, because anger doesn't need anyone. But underneath that, every time, is a softer voice, a younger voice, one that whispers, "Why didn't you come? Why didn't you see me? Why wasn't I enough?" That's the voice anger is protecting you from. Let me give you a picture. You come home after a hard day, not a dramatic day, just a long one, the kind that wears you down quietly. You're tired, you're a little fragile. You don't have words for it, but something in you is hoping for softness, for ease, for someone to notice. Your partner is on their phone. They barely look up. They say, "Hey," but it's flat, automatic. They don't ask how you are. They don't make space. And something in you tightens. Within seconds, you're irritated. The kitchen's a mess. They didn't take the trash out. You start making comments, short, clipped. You're not yelling, but there's an edge. They ask what's wrong. You say nothing. Or you say you're fine. Or you list complaints about chores, responsibilities, things that don't actually matter. But here's what you don't say. Here's what you don't even let yourself feel. I needed you to see me. I walked in hoping someone would notice I was struggling, and you didn't. That's the wound. But you never touch it. You go straight to criticism, straight to control, straight to anger. Because anger lets you stay standing. And that sadness, the sadness of not being seen, would bring you to your knees. So you fight about dishes, and the real thing stays buried. This isn't just psychology, it's physiology. When your nervous system detects a threat, and emotional pain is a threat, it has options: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Anger is fight. It floods your body with adrenaline. It tightens your muscles. It sharpens your focus. It prepares you to defend, to attack, to survive. Sadness is closer to freeze. It slows you down. It pulls energy inward. It asks you to stop moving and feel. Now here's the thing. If you grew up in an environment where stopping meant danger, where slowing down meant getting hurt, your nervous system learned that stillness is not an option. Vulnerability is a death sentence. So your nervous system defaulted to fight every time. You feel it in your jaw, that clench you don't notice until it aches. You feel it in your shoulders, pulled up toward your ears like you're bracing for impact. You feel it in your breath, shallow, held, like you're waiting for the next threat. You feel it in your gut, that knot that never quite unravels, that low-grade nausea before difficult conversations, the digestion issues no doctor can fully explain. You feel it when you try to rest, the way your mind races the moment your body gets still, the anxiety that floods in when there's nothing to do, the strange guilt of relaxation, like stillness is something you haven't earned. You feel it at night, the way sleep doesn't come easy, the way your body won't let go even when you're exhausted, because letting go to your nervous system is the most dangerous thing you can do. This is why some people can't sit still. This is why silence feels unbearable. This is why rest brings anxiety instead of peace. Your body doesn't know the war is over. It's still bracing, still guarding, still converting every soft feeling into something hard, because hard is what kept you alive. And the tragedy is this: the thing your body is protecting you from is the very thing that would heal you. Sadness isn't dangerous, it's a release. It's the body's way of letting go, of completing the emotional cycle, of saying, "This hurt, and now I can put it down." But you never get there because anger intercepts it every time. You know who carries the most grief? The ones who never cry. The ones who haven't broken down in years. The ones who pride themselves on being strong. The ones who handle everything, manage everything, survive everything, without ever falling apart. They're not stronger than everyone else. They're more defended. Somewhere along the way, they learned that falling apart wasn't an option, that no one would catch them, that tears were useless. So they locked it away. But grief doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It shapeshifts. It becomes irritability, cynicism, exhaustion, a constant low-grade anger at everything and nothing, a tightness that never leaves. These are the people who snap at small things, who feel frustrated all the time, who can't relax, who lie awake at night with racing thoughts, who feel like something is wrong but can't name it. Nothing is wrong. They're just full of unfelt grief, full of years of sadness that was never allowed to move through. The anger isn't the problem. The anger is the lid, and underneath it is a well of tears that's been waiting for years. Let's go deeper. Why does sadness feel so dangerous? Why does the body resist it so fiercely? Because sadness requires surrender. When you're sad, really sad, you can't control anything. You can't fix it. You can't outrun it. You can only feel it. And for people who grew up in chaos, who survived by managing, controlling, anticipating, surrender feels like annihilation. If I let go, I'll fall apart. If I fall apart, no one will put me back together. If I stop holding everything, everything will collapse. That belief lives in the body. It's not a thought you think, it's a fear you feel, a primal, wordless terror that if you stop clenching, you'll disappear. So you keep clenching, you keep controlling, you keep converting grief into anger, surrender into fight. And you never learn that the falling apart won't kill you. In fact, it might be the only thing that saves you.
Let's talk about what this is costing you. Your relationships suffer because anger pushes people away, because no one can get close to someone who's always defended, because intimacy requires softness, and softness is exactly what you won't allow. Your body suffers chronic tension, jaw pain, headaches, insomnia, digestive issues. The body keeps score, and it's been carrying your unfelt grief for years. Your peace suffers. You can't rest. You can't be still. You can't enjoy the good things because you're always bracing for the bad. The nervous system never got the memo that it's safe now. And maybe worst of all, your relationship with yourself suffers. Because you don't actually know yourself. You know your defenses. You know your reactions. You know the version of you that survives. But the softer one, the one who grieves, the one who needs, the one who longs, you abandoned them a long time ago. Not because you wanted to, but because you had to. Because there was no room for them. Because no one made it safe for them to exist. Here's something that changes everything when you finally understand it. The problem isn't just that anger blocks sadness. It's that sadness never learned how to exist without being alone. Think about it. Every time you were sad as a child, really sad, what happened? Either no one came or someone made it worse. Sadness became linked with isolation, with abandonment, with being left to carry something too heavy by yourself. So now, even as an adult, even when people are around, even when you're not actually alone, sadness still feels like being stranded. Because in your body, sadness and aloneness are the same thing. That's why anger feels safer. Anger doesn't need company. Anger is self-sufficient. But sadness was meant to be witnessed. Sadness was designed to bring people closer, to signal, I need you. And when that signal was ignored enough times, you stopped sending it. The work now isn't just about feeling sadness. It's about letting sadness exist in the presence of connection. Learning that grief doesn't have to mean abandonment, that tears can fall and someone can stay. That's the update your nervous system has been waiting for. Here's what I want you to understand. Anger is not your enemy. It's a signal, a messenger, a sign that something softer is trying to get your attention. Every time you feel that flash of irritation, that tightness in your chest, that urge to snap or shut down, ask yourself, what's underneath this? Not to fix it, not to perform some emotional excavation, just to see it, just to acknowledge it. Oh, I'm not actually angry that they forgot. I'm hurt. Oh, I'm not actually frustrated with this situation. I'm grieving. Oh, I'm not actually annoyed at everyone. I'm lonely. That's it. That's the work. Not forcing yourself to cry, not making yourself vulnerable before you're ready, just noticing the translation that happens, noticing how quickly sadness becomes anger, and asking gently what the sadness is trying to say. Because your nervous system didn't choose anger to hurt you. It chose anger to protect you, and it did its job. For years, it kept you standing when sitting would have gotten you killed. But you're not in that environment anymore. And the part of you that's been waiting underneath all that armor, they're still there, tired, lonely, hoping someone finally comes. You're the one who has to go back. This won't happen overnight. Your nervous system took years to build this defense. It won't dismantle it because you read something that made sense. But it will soften, slowly, if you let it. Start by noticing, that's all. When the anger flares, pause, not to suppress it, not to judge it, just to witness it, to ask, what just happened inside me? You'll find more often than not that the anger came second. Something else came first, something faster, something you skipped. That's the sadness, that's the hurt. That's the thing your body has been hiding from you and from the world for as long as you can remember. You don't have to do anything with it yet. You just have to stop pretending it isn't there. Because every time you acknowledge it, every time you say, I'm not angry, I'm hurt, you're teaching your nervous system something new. You're showing it that sadness doesn't have to be converted, that it can exist, that you won't be left alone with it. And eventually, it will start to trust that. Here's where I'll leave you. You've been standing guard at a door your whole life, a door that leads to sadness, to grief, to the softest, most unprotected part of you. You thought you were keeping danger out, but really, you've been keeping yourself in. The anger was the lock, and for a long time, you needed it. But here's what's actually true now. You're not that child anymore. You're not in that house anymore. And the danger you've been guarding against, it already happened years ago. You survived it. What's behind that door isn't a threat. It's just pain, old pain, pain that's been waiting, not to destroy you, but to be completed, to finally move through you and out. You don't have to break down the door. You don't have to force anything. You just have to know that when you're ready, when the sadness comes, you can let it stay. You can sit with it, and it won't be the end of you. It might be the beginning. But here's what happens for a lot of people. They start to see this. They start to understand the pattern, and then something small happens. Someone cuts them off in traffic. Someone says the wrong thing, something insignificant, and they explode. All that awareness, gone in a flash. That's not failure. That's another layer, one we'll look at next. If this showed you something you hadn't seen before, consider staying. There's more to uncover here. Stop fixing. Start understanding.